People don't usually envy Cancers in the loud, obvious way. They don't stand in front of you and confess it. They do it quietly, through the way they watch you survive what would have shattered them, through the way they minimize your depth because they can't name it, through the way they call you too sensitive when what they really mean is, you feel what I'm still running from. Cancer energy is the ocean with a heartbeat. It moves with the moon, with memory, with invisible currents that pull truth up from the bottom of the soul. And when you carry that kind of emotional intelligence, you become a mirror to the world. Some people look into that mirror and feel safe. Others look into it and feel exposed. Envy often begins right there, when your presence makes someone feel something they've been avoiding for years. If you've ever felt misunderstood for being deep, or punished for caring, or labeled soft when you're actually the strongest person in the room, subscribe to Signs and Secrets. This channel is a sanctuary for the emotionally aware, the ones learning how to heal, how to protect their peace, and how to turn sensitivity into power without losing their heart. There are 12 quiet reasons people secretly envy Cancers, and none of them are about being perfect. They're about being real. They're about having the courage to be human in a world that rewards numbness. They're about carrying a sacred kind of emotional fire that can warm a room or burn down a lie. The first reason is your ability to love with your whole being, not performative love, not love that needs applause. Cancer love is the kind that shows up when the lights are off, when the mask slips, when the world becomes heavy. You don't just say, I'm here, you become here, and people envy that because many have never felt safe enough to love without bargaining. They love in transactions. You love in devotion, even when it costs you. The second reason is your emotional memory, your sacred archive. You remember what people said, but more importantly, you remember what they meant. You remember the tone behind the words, the pause between the sentences, the way someone's eyes looked when they were lying. And because you remember, you don't fall for the same illusion twice. That kind of awareness looks like magic to people who are still sleepwalking through their own patterns. The third reason is that you can create a sense of home out of almost nothing. A small corner, a soft light, a familiar smell, a few honest words. Cancer carries comfort like a quiet gift. You have this ability to make people feel held, even when you're the one who needs holding. And the world envies that because home is one of the rarest feelings on earth. Not everyone knows how to build it. Not everyone even knows how to receive it. The fourth reason is your intuition, the way you can sense storms before the sky changes. Cancers don't just listen to words, you listen to energy. You can tell when someone's "I'm fine" is a bandage over a wound. You can feel the shift in a room the moment truth enters. And that makes people uneasy, because your intuition doesn't require evidence to be accurate. It's like you're tuned to a frequency most people forgot existed. The fifth reason is the strength nobody sees at first. People mistake your softness for weakness until life forces them to witness your resilience. Cancer is water, yes, but water carves canyons. Water endures. Water finds a way. You can cry and still keep going. You can ache and still protect. You can grieve and still show up with love in your hands. And that confuses people who were taught that strength must look hard and loud. You are proof that tenderness can be unbreakable. The sixth reason is your loyalty. When you choose someone, you don't choose them casually. You choose them like you're planting roots. You protect what you love. You defend it. You nurture it. And you don't abandon people at the first sign of inconvenience. In a world where most people leave the moment things require emotional effort, your loyalty is rare, and rarity always attracts envy. The seventh reason is your emotional depth. Some people live on the surface because it's safer there. But you are not built for shallow waters. You feel in layers. You process in seasons. You heal in spirals. And because you're deep, you can understand deep. You can sit with someone's pain without trying to fix it. You can hold a conversation that isn't just words, but confession. People envy that because they've spent their whole lives trying to be fine, and you're out here being honest. The eighth reason is your capacity to transform pain into wisdom. Cancer doesn't just survive heartbreak, you alchemize it. You turn betrayal into boundaries. You turn disappointment into discernment. You turn loss into compassion. You don't waste suffering. You study it. You listen to what it's teaching you. and that makes you powerful because you don't become bitter, you become clear. People envy clarity that is earned. The ninth reason is your spiritual sensitivity. You feel things before they arrive. You sense endings before they happen. You get dreams that carry warnings and blessings. You notice signs in ordinary moments, numbers, songs, sudden memories, repeating themes. Cancer energy often lives with one foot in the physical world and one foot in the unseen. And while some people call that overthinking, the truth is, you're intuitive, you're guided. You're receptive to divine timing in a way that many people are not ready to admit exists. The 10th reason is your protective nature. You don't just care, you guard, you shelter, you teach people what safety feels like. You can be gentle and still have a spine. And when you finally decide to stop pouring into someone who keeps leaking your love, the absence of you feels like winter. People envy your protection because they secretly want someone to protect them like that. Many crave the safety you naturally offer, but they don't know how to honor it. The 11th reason is your ability to read sincerity. You can tell when someone is performing affection versus actually offering it. You can tell when someone wants access to you more than they want to know you. And that makes you harder to manipulate over time. People envy that because it exposes their games. Your discernment is like a lantern in a dark room. Suddenly, the hidden things become visible, and not everyone likes what gets revealed. And the 12th reason is this: you keep your heart alive even after everything. That might be the most envied gift of all. Because so many people, after being hurt, don't just build boundaries, they build walls. They stop feeling, they stop hoping. They become colder and call it growth. But Cancer grows differently. You learn, yes. You tighten your standards, yes. You get wiser, yes. But you still believe in love. You still believe in healing. You still believe the soul is worth protecting. That is not naivety. That is spiritual courage. Now let's talk about the part nobody says out loud. Being Cancer can feel like carrying an open flame in your chest. Beautiful, but exhausting. You pick up emotions that aren't even yours. You feel the unspoken needs of people who don't know how to name them. You become the container for other people's storms, and sometimes you forget you're allowed to rest. You forget you're allowed to receive. You forget that your softness is not a public resource. If you've ever loved someone who only knew how to take, you know what it feels like to slowly disappear inside your own generosity. If you've ever stayed too long because you saw the good in someone, you know what it's like to mistake potential for reality. And if you've ever been made to feel guilty for having needs, you know what it's like to shrink your own heart to make room for someone else's comfort. Here's your reminder: your sensitivity is not the problem. The problem is when you give sacred access to people who treat you like a convenience. Halfway through this message, I want you to pause and breathe, really breathe. And if this is resonating, gently tap like on the video. It helps this kind of healing, soul-based content reach the people who are still searching for words for what they feel. Support Signs and Secrets. Become a channel member for exclusive videos and early access. And I want to hear from you in the comments in a way that feels personal. Share your date of birth and your zodiac sign. Not as a label, but as a thread, so we can see who's gathering here under this message and what kind of souls are finding each other right now. Because Cancer doesn't just attract envy. Cancer also attracts the wounded who are learning how to become whole. You attract people who want to be understood, even if they don't know how to ask for it. You attract people who crave safety, even if they've never learned how to create it. And sometimes, you attract people who want your light because they don't want to build their own. This is where your transformation begins. Not by hardening your heart, but by choosing where it belongs. Let your love become intentional. Let your loyalty become sacred. Let your comfort become reciprocal. Stop proving your worth through suffering. Stop showing your devotion to people who only notice you when you pull away. Your heart is not a stage. Your emotions are not a performance. Your presence is not something people get to earn through inconsistency. When Cancer evolves, you stop chasing closure and start choosing peace. You stop repeating yourself and start observing behavior. You stop begging for emotional honesty and start honoring your intuition. You stop trying to be easy to love and start being impossible to disrespect. And yes, some people will envy you even more when you do that. Because nothing triggers the insecure like someone who finally stops negotiating their value. They'll call you distant when you're just discerning. They'll call you cold when you're finally calm. They'll call you selfish when you're simply refusing to bleed for people who never bandaged you. Let them speak. Your healing doesn't need their approval. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon teaches one of the deepest spiritual lessons. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to have phases. You are allowed to be full of light one week and quiet the next. You are allowed to retreat and return. You are allowed to be both softness and strength. You are allowed to be a sanctuary and still have locked doors. If your life has been teaching you the pain of being too available, take the lesson. If your heart has been teaching you the cost of overgiving, take the lesson. If your spirit has been teaching you that not everyone deserves your depth, take the lesson. And still, do not let the world convince you to become a smaller version of yourself. Because the truth is, the world needs people who can feel. The world needs people who can love with integrity. The world needs people who can offer comfort without losing themselves. The world needs people who can sit with grief and still believe in tomorrow. That is Cancer power. So if you're a Cancer watching this, or you love a Cancer, or you're learning to honor the Cancer parts of yourself, your emotional truth, your intuition, your devotion, remember this: you are not too much. You are simply more honest than a world that learned to survive by hiding. Your sensitivity is a compass. Your heart is a temple. Your boundaries are the gates. And your healing is not just personal, it's generational. When you break cycles, when you stop accepting crumbs, when you choose yourself without guilt, you teach everyone around you what self-respect looks like. If this spoke to you, subscribe to Signs and Secrets for more deeply intuitive, spiritually grounded astrology that actually helps you grow. And before you go, hit like on this video. It supports the channel and tells the algorithm to keep serving this kind of content to the people who need it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust the timing of your own becoming. If you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel.